in 1 year by doing rotational grazing and grazing the weeds and not spraying them. We've been able to increase our grazing by 56% in 1 year.
In 1 year?
In 1 year.
So when you're saying rotational, walk me through what that looks like.
If I'm not learning, I'm dying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
To me personally.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you.
Yeah, I'm Peter.
I'm Jess Brockman.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure.
No, I think this is something that's been needed to happen for a long time. It was a beautiful film also on y'all's credit side of all the staff and stuff. It's a beautiful film.
Appreciate that.
But showing the raw moments, even if it wasn't like they may have not wanted you to show some of those raw moments, but showing that raw moment hits these people. These people, these farmers and ranchers and the Southern and High Plains are the hardest group of individuals to break into the market and get to teach them anything in the United States, because it is the hardest climate in the United States.
Right.
Like last week or 3 days ago, it was 78 degrees. 15 hours later, it's 7 degrees and snowing 14 inches.
Right.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to plan for stuff like that.
That is
it's
hard
really
to
hard to plan for
It's probably spiking even more.
Oh, last year it was 82 one day and 22 4 hours later. I mean, it can just drop. But then at the same time, this last summer we had 42 days straight of over 100 degrees.
Right.
With no precipitation. Just baked everything.
I heard during that time some of the soils were measured at 165 degrees.
I scanned one at 172.
Whoa.
At 172. I carry one with me. I do crop and livestock consulting.
Okay.
My whole purpose in the South Plains and regionally is, in the next 15 years, 15% of these farms are going to lose all their water.
Right.
And they will have nothing to farm, because dryland farming is not a thing anymore, because subsidies will not pay enough to make a living.
Right.
It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So the next 15 years, a good chunk of this land, especially south of Amarillo, where there's no water, is going to go back to livestock. And these guys don't know how to do it. So either they're going to sell out and lose their family's farm that's been their family for 100 years.
Right.
Or they're going to get integrated.
Because you need much less water for livestock than you would for row crop.
Yes, but my whole background is livestock.
Okay.
I got into crop consulting as an internship just so I could graduate.
Where?
From Tarleton State University.
Okay.
So I have an animal science degree from Tarleton State.
Got it. Did you grow up on a ranch? Or?
I'm first generation everything. I played lacrosse in high school.
Okay.
It's like, no, this is everything I know. I've either learned through events like this, podcast, communicating with people that actually know.
Yep.
I mean, I have a producer. He just sold all his farm equipment, and he still has water. We're raising 2,000 head of ewes in Plainview.
So he went from row crop to animals?
He went from no-till, strip-till, row cropping, corn, milo, cotton, making good yields.
Good yields or good profit?
Yields. Because the overhead is
enormous.
80% of your profit. Like when your ROI is only 8 to 10%, you're making $2 million a year and you're pulling home, you're bringing home $45,000 after you make all your payments. That's not a living.
Can you imagine? You're bringing in $2 million and you're.
I mean, those are hypothetical numbers, but those are real numbers.
And you're making teacher pay in Alabama.
Yeah, it's a real deal, and like I've started rotationally grazing his stuff on native pasture.
Yeah.
I let 640 acres rest for 7 months. And now we're able to graze 2,000 sheep on it for the past 2.5 months during all this really bad weather. Now we're still haying now with some of it because they're lambing out right now.
We just did you're just starting.
Well, yeah, because I've only been working for the guy for a year.
Yeah.
So in the next 3 years, like not me, but we've been able to increase his grazability in 1 year by doing rotational grazing and grazing the weeds and not spraying them. We've been able to increase our grazing by 56% in 1 year.
In 1 year?
In 1 year.
So when you're saying rotational, walk me through what that looks like.
So our rotations are longer and the acres are massive.
Okay.
Like we got 5 sections of land, so 640 acres times 5.
Okay.
We're running thousands of acres, but we got a couple thousand animals at the same time.
So is a section one paddock?
No, so a section, well, right now it is. I'm about to break it into 9 individuals. So one section will be broken into 9 paddocks, so 60-acre paddocks
So
with
that's
a
a huge
100-acre
change.
Yeah, it'll be a big change, but they'll be in there for 7 days at a time. So 640 acres will have 36 days of grazing per paddock per year.
Got it. And you heard that stat I told you about Birdwell Clark. They have 37 and a half days of grazing over 14 years.
Yeah.
So if you just keep going down that road, right?
And I have a buddy down south. He's down around Gordon, around Stephenville area. He's doing goats, and he's great. And he's not grazing. He's browsing the forbs and shrubs.
Right.
And he's got a 1,700 acre lease, and his paddocks are 5 to 10 acres.
Right.
And every single one of those paddocks he won't see again for a year and a half.
Right.
So it'll rest for a year and a half before he comes back, and he's doing it with poly mesh.
Yeah.
So he spends 2 days building fence, moves them twice for 2 weeks, and then he has to build fence for 3 days, and then he goes back and forth. But then after that, he can do other stuff.
And that poly mesh that's the mesh as opposed to the single strand.
Right, because goats are horrible.
Still electric.
Yeah. It's still hot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
so cool.
I just want to tell you. And
are you going to sign up and keep in touch with us?
Yeah,
Please
for sure.
Please
for sure. Because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, with row crop and everything, you come out here and you do a row crop thing. You need to do BTOs, big time operators, normal guys, and you need to do first generation small startups and track all of the differences between all of those different guys.
Do you do that kind of tracking?
I do, yeah, on my personal side.
We could learn from you.
You want to give us your email?
I don't know about learning from me, but yeah, sure.
Stay in touch, man.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, it's
for
really
sure.
good to meet you, too.